Hello everyone, Dawn here from Reconnecting Essential Readings, and once again I'm coming to you to bring you a reading on the general energy for the month of June. This is a pick a card reading, and the way that this works is that you take a moment, take a breath, and focus on the cards that are laid before you and try to find out which one of these you feel drawn to or pulled or connected with. Group 1, Group 2, or group number 3. And then once you know, there are timestamps in the box below. Now these are generalized readings, which means some of this may apply and some of it may not. Take what resonates and leave the rest. And as always, these are supported and sponsored by my business, Reconnecting Essential Readings. You can find links for a personalized reading just for you if you choose to order one in the down bar below. All right, let's go ahead and begin. All right, group number 1, let's begin with you, and we are going to start with the card of truth. So in the month of June, you're going to be facing moments of truth, and some of this is going to be you required to face truth, and I feel like this is really heavily talking about you speaking your truth. If you notice this particular image, she has her hand up close to her throat, and I feel that there is something that you have been avoiding as far as speaking your truth. And I don't know that it's not that you've been avoiding speaking any of your truth as much as you've been avoiding speaking your truth in your entirety. So whenever you do speak your truth, you speak it in a way that you know allows you to remain safe and comfortable and doesn't, raise any feathers or hairs, or doesn't trigger anybody. So you're centering your truth, you're centering how you present your truth, so that you feel like you are getting the opportunity to speak your truth, but it's not actually requiring you to step out of your comfort zone. So you're staying or maintaining a sense of safety and security when you speak it. And if you can't maintain a sense of safety and security, I get an overwhelming sense that you do what it takes to make sure that you find a way to avoid. So there's a lot of censoring of your personal truth that seems to be happening. And in the month of June, you're going to be facing a moment of really facing the truth of yourself, really looking in your mirror and looking at yourself from a position of trying to decipher how much of that do you want to continue to censor of yourself, because it's really starting to get to a point where you're struggling because you feel like you're quieting yourself. Your throat chakra is starting to suffer. Your sense of individuality and even your sense of rights is beginning to suffer because you are not standing up fully and wholly in your truth. And this is something that you're going to be facing through the month of June. Just a require or a request of those who guide you from the other side to really look at how much you censor of yourself, and maybe potentially look at finding ways to speak your truth in more wholeness than you are currently. We have the Hermit card coming up next, and this is in connection with that speaking of your truth, that hiding that seems to be the theme of censoring yourself, that hiding of your whole truth, that hiding of your wholeness. And you're being asked to come out from that, to bring yourself out from that. And this is backed up from the Strength card, and this is letting you know that you are supported by those who have been on your side from the other side your entire life. They're asking you to step forward. They're asking you to embrace this truth of in yourself, and to allow that to come forward completely in a way that you know that you can feel more confident in who you are. Again, like I said, there's a censoring and sort of a blocking of the throat chakra that seems to be happening. But as a result of that, there is a bit of stagnation that's happening within the solar plexus chakra, which is the one of self-empowerment. And you're told that you are supported from those of the other side. Those who are your guides, your ancestors, your elders, your deities, whoever it is that you know that you get support from the spiritual realm, they're telling you they have your back. They're there to support you. You don't have to hide anymore. You can come out of that hermit energy cycle that you have been facing and you have been existing within, and you have the strength within you, and at the very least, when you don't feel like you have what it takes, you can lean on them until you essentially, I don't want to say fake it till you make it, because you're not faking it, because the strength and the support that you're getting from that other side is true. It is there. It is real. You just need to tap into it. And the sword, the One of Swords, is really telling me that they are giving you the opportunity in the month of June to see things from a different perspective that allows you to support your truth, that allows you to tap into the strength that is available to you from the other side, that allows you to take leave of this position of sort of isolation that you are engaging in when you are not speaking your truth. You can reroute how you think, you can reroute your perception, you can reroute the narrative within your mind regarding yourself and your truth, but it begins with stepping out, tapping into that source of strength that is available to you through them and within yourself, through them and through you, through your higher self, and just reroute that narrative, sort of strike out that which is sort of been holding you back, and allow that to kind of be burned away and allow it to be replaced with the truth that is real to you, the narrative that is going to support you and to carry you through. Now, the Time card is letting me know that even though you might start to realize that this is a truth that you want to embrace and this is the truth that you want to exist in, that there is going to be a time factor. There's always that time from when we decide that there's something that we want to go wholeheartedly in with and to embrace fully and completely, and there's a time that has to unfold organically. So we make decisions, but the process has its own time frame, and this is what this is indicating. When you make the choice to do this, there are some things that are going to happen strikingly fast, but there are other elements that's going to take a little time to come around. So you're not asked to just suddenly come out completely and fully in your truth. You're allowed to give yourself that grace period to grow and unfold organically and naturally. You're allowed to allow time to take its rightful process as you go from recognizing the truth in its wholeness that you want to embrace, and then allowing that to kind of come from the inside and blossom out to the outside, to the external. So give yourself the time, give yourself the grace that you need to give, but eventually you will come full circle, and that internal desire of who you desire to be and who you've been longing to become, and the work that you have been doing to bring that self forward, when you recognize this, the wholeness and the completeness of your truth, and you take the time to embrace it, and then you allow yourself the grace to grow and unfold this organically, the blessings and the flourishing of that will eventually kind of push through, and you will see the self in yourself eventually. And I feel that this is a process like that. Recognizing is the truth and completeness is something that you are going to experience in the month of June, but that process until when you see it kind of growing out and you see the external work beginning to become, the internal work beginning to become external and visible, it's a little bit long. Like this process is going to happen in June, but that the time and seeing it to its fruition is more towards the middle of summer and maybe even deeper for some of you. But the point is that to give itself time, continue to do the work, just get the biggest key for the month of June is getting to where you recognize the completeness of your personal truth, and then move from there, embrace from there, grow and expand from there, because it will happen for you. But recognizing the truth of yourself, recognizing your personal individual truth in its completeness and embracing it in its completeness is the first step. And that is an energy that's going to be available for you in the month of June. All right, group one, that's all I have for you. I hope this reading gave you everything that you desired and hoped for, and so much more. And hopefully I will see you in another video. All right, group number two, let's go ahead and begin with you. And we're starting out with wisdom. And I'm being told right away that this is a wisdom that is connected totally and wholeheartedly with your intuition. So this is wisdom from the other side. This is wisdom from your spirit guide, your ancestors, deities, however, whoever you work with, whatever you work with that is in on the other plane, that spiritual realm, this is something that you're being asked to connect with in the month of June. Some of you, it's just a deeper connection than you already have. And still others of you, it's something that has been on your mind. You've been considering doing some work and creating those connections, creating those bonds, communication lines. It's something you've been considering, and you're being told to follow through with this. This is your sign to follow through with it. So whether you're beginning or you're deepening, this is your sign. The opportunity to deepen, to begin and or deepen your communication lines, to really broaden how those lines are, and to really deepen the communion that you have available to you, you're going to experience the opportunity for that in the month of June. So if this is something that you've been desiring, and I get a feeling this is why you're here, this is why you picked this group. If this is something that you've been desiring, you've been kind of considering, this is your sign. You will have this available for you through the month of June. The full moon is being told to me, so that's something that you can kind of begin with that as a time period. If you're looking for a frame or a starting point, the full moon's coming to mind. If you were seeing this after the full moon, that's perfectly fine. You can even sometimes do energy work retroactively. Energy work is something that's not really held to the same time limits that we experience here on the tangible physical earth plane. So if you're doing something that is energetic, you can still sort of do the work that is retroactive as far as energy. If you haven't tapped into it, it's still available for you to tap into from an energetic, astrological, metaphysical perspective. But this is your sign. This is your message. If you've been contemplating this, this is that nudge that you have been looking for. You are meant to begin or deepen your connection to those that you commune or have an opportunity to commune with on the other side. There's going to be a bit of give and take in this process. You're going to experience a bit of give and take. There's a balance. And so this is just, the Six of Stones is letting me know that there's an opportunity for a foundation that's deeply rooted, but it's a foundation that sometimes it's going to require you to take the time and to give, and then it's going to take other moments where you're going to have to be open to receiving. And the reason why this is important is because there are times when you go through this growth experience that this is sort of indicating towards. We go through this moments where we receive a lot and then we stop receiving, and then it gets frustrating because we were receiving so much, and then suddenly it seems like everything has stopped. But in those moments, that's the time when you give. That's when you're supposed to be communicating back or doing what it takes to communicate back. So there's a back and flow that's going to be a back and forth that's going to be happening. So in those moments where you feel like you're giving and giving and giving, and it's not nurturing that soul connection that you're looking for, that's because it's time for you to be quiet and receive. And in those times that you are in position to receive and receive and receive, and you meet this point where you feel like you're not receiving to the same extent that you once were, that's because you're not supposed to be receiving, you're supposed to be giving. So this is just a message to let you know to be very open and very understanding of those moments when it shifts from giving to receiving. And that's going to really help and to open up those communication lines that you have been desiring. The moon is letting me know that there is definitely a connection with this whole process with the moon. I've already talked about that as far as a good beginning point would be the full moon or the energy of the full moon, depending on when you're receiving this particular message. You don't have to, again, if you receive this after the full moon, you can work with that energy retroactively that is still out there in the astral, the metaphysical, for you to tap into should you desire to. But the cycle of the moon and connection with the moon, and there seems to be some, whatever spiritual connection that you're being indicated to work with, this includes somehow with the moon. That means something specific to you. And if you haven't, if you've been trying to figure out how to tap into this, the moon is an indicator of that. If you're trying to figure out who to tap into, the moon is an indication of that. So you have to dig a little deeper as far as how the moon resonates with you with this particular experience. But there's something that's very strong regarding the moon. 10 of Arrows really speaks to me about that concept of the responsibility and requirement that is required or is there whenever we take on any sort of task, any sort of job, any sort of research, whatever it may be. There can be a tediousness to it, and you're just being told that make sure you just keep nose to the grindstone comes to mind. And this isn't normally something that you find to be connected when you're talking about spiritual things. That seems to be something that you would have more in line with doing a job or work. But whenever we are focused on something, whether it be something for our career or whether it be for something for education wise or schooling or research or whatever, there is a sort of requirement as far as tenacity is concerned. And this is what it's tapping into. It's just letting you know there is a requirement of work on your part. You will receive, and the opportunity that you take when you do the work and you put in the energy and you give, there is an opportunity to receive, but there is definitely a requirement on your part to do the work. This is not something that's going to be simple. And I think I get a sense, I'm kind of being indicated towards this idea that that's one of the reasons why there's been a bit of a hesitation. You recognize the amount of work that this is going to require of you, and so there's a bit of hesitation because the commitment that is going to be involved, but the payoff is good. If you notice, as far as this particular image is concerned, all the arrows are within the quiver, which means it's all together. It's not scattered, it's not heavy, it's not burdensome. It's actually in a position that is going to be easy to carry and easy to utilize. It's just, it takes work on your part, and this is just what this is kind of indicating. It's not something, it is something that's going to create a need for focus, but the payoff is going to be good, and it's something that they're going to help you with in the process of getting to that point. This really Earth card is really letting me know that there is going to be a sense of grounded and rootedness that's going to come with this. There's going to be a sense of, I get a sense that this, one of the reasons why this is something that you've been contemplating is because there's been a bit of feeling like a wanderer, or feeling like you are not rooted, or feeling like you don't have a sense of roots or foundation. This is going to give you, if you tap into this opportunity that is going to be presented through the month of June, specifically within the moon cycle, if you tap into this is going to provide the ability to feel rooted that you have been searching for, to get you feeling grounded in a sense of self that you have been working towards. And this particular card, it says poison, but I'm not being told to look at that particular word. I'm being told to look at the fact that this particular mushroom is generally used or been known for its effects on tapping into what is available in the spirit realm. And of course, like a lot of things, if you go overboard, it can be poisonous. So again, tapping into that message of making sure that you have a balance, giving and taking as you are supposed to be, as you are being indicated. Be guided as necessary from what is on the other side, from your intuition, from your higher self, knowing full well that this can render really tapping into something that's more, that's available for you, that you've been wondering and questioning if it is available to you, and if you should tap into it. And the answer is yes. Just be very careful. Don't go overboard. Don't get too over focused. Don't make it into a burden. Make sure it's something that is giving to you, nurturing you, as well as expanding your connection, your roots, your foundation. All right, group number 2, that is all I have for you. I hope that this particular message has given you everything that you were hoping for and so much more. And hopefully I will see you in a future video. All right, group number 3, let's go ahead and begin with your message. And we start with rebirth. There is something new on the horizon for the month of June. Work comes across the radar right away. I'm being told that there is something that has to do with work, your work specifically. It doesn't necessarily have to mean your job as much as your place of employment. It just means work, some type of work that you have been involved with, that you feel near and dear to you, that you have been doing work with to expand whatever that means to you as an individual. There is a sense of rebirth that's going to happen in the month of June. I'm being told that there's going to be a bit of a dark time period before it gets light, as it usually is with these new rebirths, these new experiences, the chaos that goes from the old to the new. And you think of even the birth of a child, how it is how the process goes. It's not always very smooth and joyous. It's not something that you just suddenly wake up one morning and it's a good morning and there's birds and butterflies and sunshine and blue skies. Sometimes there's a bit of a process. There's a dawn before the morning. This is the sort of energy that I'm getting for some of you as far as this rebirthing process. But the opportunity for this birth, this rebirth, this new birth of self that you have been really pushing towards and working towards, it is there. This moment of being able to exit the cave, exit the darkness, exit that internal, deep, intense work that you have been involved with. You are going to experience an exiting of that into the newness, into the light, into the birth of yourself, the rebirth of yourself. To have this to begin, there's a desire for a perspective, and the sloth is letting me know that this is a perspective that you're going to come to slowly. It is a process in and of itself, but you're going to experience that. And I feel like this is what you're going to experience actually while you're still in the cave. If you notice, this particular figure is in the mouth of the cave, and you're just being let know that while you're still in the cave, before you actually exit it, there's going to be a moment where you experience a perspective, a shift in your perspective. And that shift is what is going to allow you to exit. That shift is what's going to really have you seeing the light at the end of that cave, the light at the end of the tunnel, the light that is at the exit that allows you to exit. But the process of the shift, the process of the realization and the recognition of that different perspective in and of itself is going to be a bit slow, but you will come to it. It's one of those things where you're going to see it off in the horizon, and you walk and work towards it, and it still seems like it's still off on the horizon, and you keep moving towards it, and it still feels off on the horizon, and then all of a sudden everything's just going to come together, and you're going to find yourself at the mouth of that cave at that point of rebirth. The Justice cards are just right away. I'm getting the sense that there's something that has been going on in your life, that you have been crying for justice, and you're going to see justice come into play. And it does, for some of you, it doesn't feel nearly as heavily tethered. There's a bit of a connection with this as far as how it applies to you personally. So it's one of those things where there are events that might not be how we are wholly and fully involved in, but the rebound of it or the aftermath of it affects us in some way. This is what I'm feeling that this is. There's something going on that is in the broader spectrum, in the broader story, in the broader picture, that you have kind of felt the vibrations of. You've been experiencing the vibrations of those. There's going to be a point in time where you see that there is justice served, but I'm being told that it's not the justice that you seek or you desire or you think that is supposed to come to pass. And this is just a message that you don't want this to get you off track from your personal life. This is, yes, it has importance. It's not that you should disregard this in its entirety, but it's not something that you should be relying your own personal rebirth experience on. You should not be basing the outcome and the turnout events of whatever this thing is. It shouldn't have the impact that allows you to become stagnant or not get to the point where you exit that cave of rebirth. So whatever this is, like I said, it feels like it's something on a broader scale, and it's one of those things where it's not us completely and wholly, but we are impacted, even if it's the minute amount, we're impacted by it. And you're allowed to recognize it and watch it and see it unfold and feel what you feel regarding the circumstances of this particular situation. But don't let this in any way waylay your personal experience of rebirth. So don't let the connection of it become more than it's supposed to be, if that makes sense for you. The Six of Swords is just letting me know that there's going to be a sense of victory eventually, but it's just not the victory that you are hoping for. And I get this feels that it's tethered to this particular part of the message. And the thing that's indicating to me the most is the fact that that particular sword is it's wound. It has a cloth around it, and it has a string around it, and then it's set aside. The figure who had been carrying this sword is not in the particular picture, and it looks like it's at a beach. So there's just this overall sense of walking away to a certain degree, knowing when the battle has taken a turn that the battle has ended. Even if it hasn't ended the way that you had desired, it has ended. It has come to a conclusion, and it's time to cover up the sword, not bury it, not get rid of it, but there may be another approach that is necessary. And so it's time to wrap it up and enjoy the sunrise that is on the horizon and wait for better timing to participate. Wait till more information is available. That the more information is something that came to mind. So wait till there's more information that is available that will give you what you need to re-engage should you need to. You might even find that there is just a different avenue, different aspect, or it might even come to a point where it has concluded on its own without your participation, which then allows you to focus on this. So there's definitely a situation of separation between this experience and this experience. And I feel like you're really being told to make sure that they don't get too intertwined, because whatever this is, should this particular aspect of the message resonate really hard with you, whatever this is, it's creating a stagnation with this. It's really slowing down what has already been a slow process of coming to a different perspective that allows you to be experiencing the rebirth that you have been working for and working for and working for. So whatever this is, they're not saying that there's no validation in what you perceive or feel with this. It's just really hardcore mentioning the fact that you don't want this to stagnate, stall, or even block what this experience is. All right. So however that resonates with you, take it for what it is. We have the labyrinth. The labyrinth is something that I really enjoy the concept of, especially when you look at an image. This particular image of the labyrinth is looking at either the exit or the entrance, whatever that means to you. And for some of you, it's an exit. It's an equal opportunity. And that for some of you, it is indicating the exit of the old, but it's also indicating the entrance of the new. And the nice thing, or the interesting thing about labyrinths, is how it winds. And sometimes the spiral within a labyrinth has you kind of bumping up against old portions of the labyrinth that you have already passed. And that just is sort of a reminder that sometimes even when we exit and we move on with our life, when we walk through our personal labyrinth, when we walk through the spirals of our personal labyrinth, sometimes we bump up against a prior line that still has echoes, or we can still feel the echoes or the vibrations or perceive what was within that old. But there's no need to engage. There's no need to jump over the line in the hedge and to rejoin. That is part of the old labyrinth or old spiral or old curve of the labyrinth that you've already walked. Sometimes they do get a bit intertwined, but that doesn't mean that you can't just keep walking forward, keep moving forward. So it's just a message of, even when you butt up against, as you're walking through your personal labyrinth, even when you butt up against old stories, old spirals, old lessons, it's not always an indication for a need to engage. Sometimes it's just a moment to reflect and recognize how far you have come, how far you have grown, what you have gained, how much you have expanded in your knowledge and understanding in your personal growth. So that's a big thing as far as the labyrinth is concerned. And like I said, it's a equal opportunity message as far as that. It's both an indication of how you are exiting the old and entering the new as far as your life is concerned. And we have confinement, and I feel like there's a bit of a request of keeping things secret or private. There's power in keeping some things close to us. So there's something that you are going through or working on that you are kind of trying to figure out if you should be putting it out there to solidify it and to strengthen it and empower it, or if you should keep it close to you. And this message is letting you know that whatever this is something that you are at the moment supposed to keep quiet and keep close to you. The power that it needs to nurture it for growth is something that you have to give to it, and only let a select few in on it. People that you know you can trust that will help nurture and feed whatever it is are the only ones that you are supposed to help or bring into whatever this is. Other than that, you are supposed to keep it a bit quiet and close to you for empowering and nurturing until the time is right, but the time is not quite right yet. Your focus right now is that different perspective that allows you to get to that point of rebirth that you have been seeking. This is the month of June. You're going to be experiencing all of this energy. So I hope this reading was everything that you were hoping for, group number 3, and hopefully you feel empowered and you feel a boost of self-confidence to take on the month of June, and hopefully I will see you in the next video.